Hey, so I'm Courtney, and welcome to the Accounting Struggle. Go ahead and go to theaccountingstruggle.com so you can sign up and you can stay up to date on all the latest content. I only release new content maybe twice a month, so I won't be worse, I promise. But you do want to stay up to date so that way you're not missing anything. And I am going to try and make a blog topic video for each blog topic that I write on the page, just in case sometimes people don't feel like reading or they don't have time. You can just plug in your headphones, listen to me on the go while you work. Easy breezy. So today I want to talk about working with difficult people. This was a highly requested topic. I personally had many jobs, have not always loved every single person that I've worked with. So I do speak from personal experience when I say I know how to work with difficult people. And in a professional world, it is very important that you're able to do this with a certain strategy. You can't just like let it be known like, oh, I can't stand you. That's not going to work. So I'm going to go over some basic tips on how to deal with working with people who you maybe just don't get along with, or they're just not your cup of tea. The first and most important tip is just remember you are here for funds, not friends. So if you are finding that you're not getting along with somebody, or maybe you don't mesh well with the people that you work with, or there's one person in particular you're just like, I can't stand her, or I can't stand him, or that's really okay. Like, you don't have to be friends with them. They're people that you work with, and if you do make friends with them, that's great, because that happens too. I have most of my close friends are people I used to work with, but yeah, there are plenty of people who I've worked with who I would never want to see again outside of work, in work, ever. But they would never know it based on how I treated them at work. And it's not about being fake. It's just about making sure you stay professional. So what I mean by you're here to make friends, not friends, is just that you have to stay focused. So like, if you find that there's somebody that you're working with every day and y'all have a particular conflict, it needs to be addressed in a professional manner, but you need to be able to do it without getting your emotions involved. So, for instance, have a friend who she felt like people were being too close into her personal space when it came to like her personal life, because you spend so much time with people at work, they start to think like, oh, we're friends. It's not that, we just work together a lot and we're friendly at work, but we're not friends. So they would be like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Or, oh, why did you not answer my friend request yet? It's really important to set boundaries from the beginning, because if you don't, then people will notice a change and they'll be like, oh, you're drawing back, you're acting different, you're acting weird. So I would say when you start a new job, set boundaries from the beginning. Like, hey girl, why didn't you answer my Facebook request yet? Oh, you know what? Actually, sis, I just don't let people follow me on social media. Not when I work with them. That's just a personal preference for me. It's not personal. It's just a personal preference for me. Like, I'm just, nothing against you. I don't do this social media thing with people I work with. And then that's it. You don't really have to go into more detail than that. Or like, oh, hey, are you coming to the happy hour tonight? No, I'm not. I'm not going. And it's not about being rude or being like antisocial. You should try to make an effort to like go to at least 1 or 2 company sponsored events a year, but I wouldn't hang out with people or put yourself in spaces that are compromising if you know you don't mesh well with these types of personalities. Like, it's just going to make for a bad situation, especially if we're talking about a happy hour with alcohol. Like, it's not a good idea. So I would just set those boundaries from the very beginning. And it's definitely fine to block people on social media. I would suggest it. If you feel like you don't want people, like, my page is open, anybody can look at it, but if you feel like you get your life on the weekends and you don't want, your manager or the seniors or other people seeing you get your life and, do your ratchet things with your friends on the weekends, block them. They don't need to see you. They don't need to have unlimited access to you. There's no reason for them to be able to access you at any hour and know every move about you. Like, if you're in public accounting, you're spending like most of probably more time with them than with the people you actually want to be friends with. So they don't need anything more than that. So I think that that's enough. So yeah, keep those boundaries, set them from the very beginning, and don't get caught up on like, well, I just went ahead and accepted her friendship request because like I didn't want her to be mad at me. Like, no. keep it professional at all times. Now, if you do find that you're having an actual conflict, it's not just, oh, they're not my favorite person to work with, I really had a real issue with this person, that's when it needs to be addressed, but it needs to be done professionally. What I would suggest, because I've been there, I would say you need to actually have a one-on-one conversation with this person, but you need to do it away from the crowd. So you don't want to go up to their cubicle and be like, oh, I need to talk to you, I really didn't appreciate how you did this and that. That's not going to work. That's going to cause a lot of a heightened situation. It's just going to make for it. It's going to be way worse. So what you should do, what I would recommend doing, is offering to take them to coffee or maybe just have lunch with them, just the two of them or just the two of you, and see if they're willing to do that. And a lot of times people act very different outside of the office. So you'll see a different side of them and you might find like, oh, actually not so bad. A lot of times people are just working under pressure, so they might just have strange styles of communication. They might just be more intense, and a lot of times it's not even personal. So I think the best thing to do is to sit down and talk with somebody face to face, just the two of you, away from the crowd, and always start it off by being very honest. Like, you know, I just wanted to sit down and have this conversation with you because I've noticed that we've had some tension or some friction, and I just want to make sure we have a good professional working relationship, especially if you're in like audit and you're like going to be on assignments with just this person is the only person you know, and y'all are like out the state together and you don't like them. You have to address those types of issues. So yeah, that's really important. So I would make sure you do that. And then the other thing I would tell you to do, or my second tip, is do not match energies. So if you find that you work with somebody who's just flat out rude, or maybe they're just off-putting or condescending or whatever, because there are going to be people who are just different from you. I'm a very bubbly person, like, oh, hi, how are you? Everybody's not like that, and that's fine. If you find that someone is giving you some energy that is just like very negative or rude or brash, I would say the best thing to do is to not match that energy. Be who you are, stay yourself. When I first started working at the building that I work in, I would always say hello to people when I see them on the elevator, when I'm coming in the morning. Literally one person that I worked with, I'm like, I know him, I see him, I know he knows me, he sees me, I'm saying hello to him, and nothing. I don't understand what that is. What I've learned is that people are just different from me, and again, that's fine, because I'm not here to be friends, I'm just here to get the funds. No, that's not all, but no, I really would say it's fine, because everybody's raised differently, everybody has different personalities. It really is not personal. So if you find that someone is being rude, the worst thing you could do is be rude back to them, or match that same energy of condescending or just being very sarcastic, because that's only going to make for more friction. And more importantly, you want to continue to be who you are. You don't want to let other people's energy determine what you're going to be like. If you're a person who is always friendly and polite and bubbly, just because everybody around you is head down working, no talking, that doesn't mean that's how you have to be. Continue to be who you are. Don't let other people determine how you should act. That's weird. So I used to get on the elevator the first couple of weeks. I would say hello. No one would say anything. They would act like they didn't hear me. It was weird. I didn't understand it. And then for like 2 days, I was like, fine, I'm just not going to say anything either. And then I got on the elevator with someone who was so nice, and they were like, hi, good morning. And I'm like, see, I knew I should have been who I always been and just said good morning. So that's what I started to do from now on. And I would start to speak to people who I knew were not going to speak back. And eventually they started to speak back, like, hi. Or they would give me like a half awkward smile, which was fine. As long as I'm getting something, that's fine. So continue to be who you are. Don't focus on other people and their energy. Match your own energy, not theirs. Another very important piece of advice is don't get too comfortable. Okay. So what you want to remember is when you're at work and you're in a professional environment, sometimes you do start to feel like, oh, these people are really cool. You know, we're having a good time. Or if you're spending so much time with people, you feel like you really know them. You don't. you know their work personas, but you don't know who they are as people. So you want to make sure you keep those professional boundaries and you keep those professional lines. Do not get too comfortable with people. Do not allow yourself to slip up and say things that are not acceptable. Don't talk about certain topics. So there are some people who are going to be difficult and they're going to push the envelope and they're going to want to talk to you about things that are not professional to discuss at work. Like, for instance, oh, so who'd you vote for? Stuff like that is just no. No, girl. Just don't. Don't do it. So don't engage. And it's perfectly fine for you to say, you know what? No, I'm not comfortable with this. Or, oh no, I'm not going there with you. It's fine to say that, and you don't have to say it in a very rude way. But if someone asks you something that you know is going to take you down a path that isn't going to paint you in the best light, run the other way, avoid the topic, disengage. So for instance, I'm very passionate about certain topics. So I know I can't even get involved. If I hear people having conversation about like certain topics and I feel passionate about the opposite of what they're saying, I won't get engaged because I know that it's going to lead me down a road where they're going to see a side of me that isn't necessary. They don't need to know me in that light. They don't need to know my feelings on those topics. I work with them. They're cool. I'm cool with them. But we're not friends. You don't really need to know how I feel about certain things. So I would say do not engage in anything that's going to be unprofessional. So if you feel like someone is crossing a line with you, politely put them back in their lane that they belong in, because people will try you. They will, especially if you are someone who's easy to get along with. I'm very easy to talk to. I'm very easy to get along with. So oftentimes people will get too comfortable with me and they'll be like, so do you, no, sis, that's not your business. So it's always important to keep the boundaries and just put people back in the lane from which they try to sneak out of. So yeah, I would say those are my key tips. You're here to make friends, not friends. If you make friends, wonderful. If you don't, that's fine too, as long as you're getting your coin. Do not match energy. Stay true to you, and do not get too comfortable, and do not allow people to get too comfortable with you. That's also very important. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys do when you work with people who are difficult, who are on your nerves? You cannot stand them, but you have to keep it professional, and you know that. So how do you deal with it? Let me know. I want to know. Give me some advice. What did I miss? Bye.